Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape the show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes. We can escape Supernatural Purgatory together.
Hi.
Hello. We're finally here. We're finally here. We're at the one of the episodes that you show your friends if you want to get them into Supernatural.
Yeah, it's so true.
Mystery Spot.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3, episode 11. Mark it down. That's the one you want to show your friends. Kind of. You want to show them 2/3 of this, and then the last third you might be like, yeah, this doesn't really make sense to you, but just watch the beginning and it would.
That's true, actually. Like, I feel like people always forget the last third of this episode. Because they're
absolutely did.
Oh yeah, the time loop stuff is funny, and then this isn't a funny episode. This is really dark.
This is really dark. This is peak Sam Winchester.
Yes.
And I'm kind of here for it, but at the same time, I'm not.
You're right. This is peak Sam, the pinnacle. This is such a turning point episode for Sam, in how you view him and his character and who he actually is as a person. It's a really important episode for Sam. It makes so much sense for so many of his choices later on. For so many of the seasons, I'd say up until maybe season 8, it tracks through, and then season 8 gets a bit like, what are you doing? This isn't Sam Winchester.
Yeah. If you take the Sam at the end of this episode, or that third of that episode, and you take Sam from pilot, I cannot merge them together. They seem like two very different people in such a good way. In terms of character development of Sam, I actually love it.
I do too. It shows it's like something that's always hidden under the surface of Sam finally gets shown, that you kind of, maybe there were hints and suggestions that it was there, but
especially this season.
Yeah, especially this season. And then you finally see it and you're like, it makes total sense.
Well, I'm excited to get there.
You do?
Because we get to go through the fun part first.
So this episode was written by Jeremy Carver and also Emily McLaughlin. I'm going to say it like that, sure. And then this was directed by Kim Manners because,
of course. Yeah.
This came out on Valentine's Day, 2008.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ever since you said, directed my attention to when someone can't save somebody, it's not being able to love them.
Yeah.
And then this episode comes out on Valentine's Day. I'm like, oh, Amy. Oh, Amy.
I'm sorry, I'm the worst person in the world. I actually think this episode works better without a recap, because the first scene is just that real close-up of Sam's face that we're all really familiar with.
Yes. And
I think if the episode had just started like that, it's very jolting and sudden. I don't feel like this episode needed a recap.
And so Sam is awoken by Heat of the Moment by Asia.
Did you ever have this as your alarm ringtone?
No.
Because I did.
No. Why would I do that to myself? I'm going to be singing this song for the next week as it is. Just because it's played so many times in this episode. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, I'm going to hate it by the end of this. No, but so a friend of mine in college, she had Sex Life by Drugs as her alarm clock. But she was one of those really deep sleepers and I'm not. So it would wake me up it would go off for a really long time. And then she would turn it off to snooze, and we would both fall back asleep, and then it would go off again, and I'm like, ugh. So I didn't like that song at first, but I heard it so much that I actually really like that song now.
I did have Heat of the Moment by Asia as my my alarm tone for maybe 2 weeks, and I was fine with it, but my husband was like, please stop. Just please stop.
Because of this episode, or just because?
It's because I wake up very quickly, so it would literally only be every morning. It was the heat of the moment, and I'd wake up and turn it off just every morning. So he never even heard the rest of the song ever. It's just heard that one.
So it was exactly like this.
It was exactly.
He was exactly like this. Oh dear. So Sam, I guess this is how Sam wakes up, because he just bolts up.
Yeah, seems right.
This is all lower ab work. Just so, this sequence, everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows it.
Rise and shine, Sammy. Dude, Asia? Oh, you love the song and you know it.
Does his little lip sync and like head bob, and I can't see that and not think of Eye of the Tiger.
I know. It's the two are very closely linked in my mind too. I mean, Sam, the line here that always gets me is Sam saying like, if I ever hear it again, I'm going to kill myself. And it's like, the foreshadowing, sir. Like...
They're then in the bathroom, and Dean is really gargling.
Who does this?
It was at this moment that I was like, Dean is being a child at this point. Like, I think he just does it to annoy Sam.
That's true. I'm like, this isn't his morning routine. This is his morning routine in annoying Sam.
Yeah.
Loud classic rock and gargling. Yeah.
That toothpaste tube was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, why is that covered? Why is that covered? It should not be splayed all over the top half of your... Just get a tissue and wipe it off or something. Or run it under the tap. It's so gross. And, like, you can see that Sam's, like, not impressed by it either. He's just like, ew. And the fact that Dean, like, looks over at Sam and grins at him while he's gargling, I'm like, how many times did he have to do that and, like, not to spit take?
I like it because Dean is he's so irritating in this episode. Like, peak older brother irritating. And yet, Sam still loves him. Like, you know, this Dean does like zero things basically that are redeeming in this episode or like endearing in any way or like, oh, this is why Sam loves him. It's like, no, he's just an irritant. And yet...
So we're back in the hotel room and Sam's leaning against the door and waiting for Dean now. For some reason, there is a bra in his belongings. Did he just pack up and... As someone who knows how expensive a lace bra is, left that on purpose, surely. There's no way that you forget an expensive piece of lingerie like that.
That was like, maybe he'll call me to return my bra.
Exactly.
What a power move.
I just lost like $50 to $100.
I know.
After rewatching the episode and like remembering the last third of this episode, this is definitely contrasting what their personalities are like, because the reason why Dean is rummaging around is to find his gun. Yeah. Well, in that last third, that's not Sam at all. Oh. Like they even show the toothpaste.
Yes, that's so true. The contrasting, Annabelle.
So does that mean that Sam basically lets Dean take lead all the time?
I think so, yeah. I think he does, because Sam seems to live in the lifestyle how Dean lives it. Or is it that Dean allows Sam to relax that side of himself?
I was ready for some breakfast.
So this sequence we're going to see multiple times in this episode, sometimes shortened, sometimes the entire thing. Sam and Dean sit down in a booth. The waitress comes over.
Hey, Tuesday, pig and a poke. You even know what that is?
Are you boys ready?
Yes, I'll have the special, side of bacon and coffee.
Make it 2 coffees and short stack.
You got it.
I still don't know what that is. Like, after all these years, I still don't know. Maybe it's like sausage wrapped in pancake. Because I feel like he gets that order at some point and it looks like it's in a pancake. Though it could be like eggs.
It's off of so I guess that you do see it because this is literally, there's a supernatural cooking book.
Of course. I know about this cookbook. Yes, I do. Yes.
Oh, I have to send you this. It's actually brilliant. I might actually make it.
Let's do it. Let's make it at my house. Oh, yes.
I love the caption of the image. It's rise and shine, Sammy.
Brutal. Oh, it looks really good. So it's like sausage wrapped in pancake with like
hash browns.
It's like rusty on the side, you know.
Hash browns.
Is it hash browns?
Yeah, that's what they're called here.
Do you know what though? I really do want a rusty now though.
Yeah, I know.
Rosti, okay, for Americans, it's shredded fried potato. It's hash browns. But it's shredded fried potato, and it's like really good.
Yeah, so he does actually get it in the episode.
He does, yeah, I'm sure I saw it.
Yeah, it's when he gets the side of sausage. That's when you see it.
All right, we'll go with that in a minute. But he wanted a side of sausage to his sausage wrapped in pancakes. Dean, your heart. Please.
This is true.
Amazing. We'll make this. It'll be vegetarian, but it'll be good.
That's fine. Yeah, no. Anyway, he orders a pig and a poke, which Dean is definitely like, I guess because he knew it was going to be some sort of pig, like whether it be bacon or sausage. Like I'm sure he was just like, yeah, that's going to be fine. Like because Sam even asked you even know what it is.
He definitely ordered it because it had a funny name. Like,
oh yeah,
100%. That's Dean through and through.
And he's so enthusiastic about it. He's like, hey, pig and a poke.
I love it every time I see it, and I've seen it so many times.
Yeah. And there's something about this episode that, like, in my mind, I would have loved to have been on set for this.
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't shoot it in order. They would have shot all of the diner scenes all together. All of the scenes on the street together.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how annoying would that be? Because you know, they have to do multiple takes anyway, but they have to do it multiple times, slightly different every time.
It would drive me up the wall, but I would have liked to have seen it. Yeah, I think it was really interesting. Like, think how they shot this episode. I think any time loop episodes in any TV, I would like to see how they do it. Like, because you're right, it must be that they shoot all those scenes together, and you slowly... Would they do it so that you shoot them in the order of, like, you have to get more and more into the time loop to help the actors, like, get through it, like, emotionally, like, because you have to get more and more, like, frustrated with it and stuff, which is kind of would work, I guess, if you're having to do the scene, like, over and over again. It's like, really interesting.
Oh, I love the fact that this is in Florida, by the way, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So Dean starts sort of complaining about the case that they're on. They should really be hunting down Bella, but Sam's like, well, you know, how? Yeah, sure, we'll get on that. Like, where is she?
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't know. So, you know, while they wait for any clues, they might as well hunt something. And he pulls out some papers and he says that a professor has gone missing, and it's Dexter Hasselback, last seen in Broward, Florida, which I lived somewhat close to that county.
Yeah.
In Florida. It made me laugh. It made me, because later on in the episode you can see their breath, like very clearly you can see their breath. And Broward County is in South Florida. Yeah. Where it does not drop below 18 degrees ever. That's Celsius. Like there may be like an off day that like a weird winter storm might like catch the end of it, and it might drop to like 10, but not cold enough for you to be able to see your breath. And I was just like, oh, they should have chosen a warmer day to do this. Or shot their scenes inside.
Yeah, if it's supposed to be in Florida. For me, I feel like the name of this guy, like Hasselback, should have been the first clue. I don't know. So the only way I know that word, so Hasselback, is like a type of potato. If you've ever had Hasselback potatoes, it's like a whole potato and you like slice it really thinly, but like not all the way through. So it just sort of makes like cuts through it. And then you like roast it like that. And it's just real nice, real crispy. But nice. I feel like it's maybe... I've never had it for breakfast, but it would be good if it was a breakfast food because I feel like it would fit nicely into this episode. And kind of, it's maybe a... Well, I mean, he turns out to be a real person, but I feel like it's close enough that it could be funny for the episode.
That's very true. So this Dexter Hasselback was in town and then he disappeared. His last known location was the Broward County mystery spot. Dean looks at this flyer that has all this like mathematical jargon on it, because apparently that makes things a mystery. To have E equals MC squared, like people don't know Well, I mean, people don't know what that means, but they know what it's from.
That's because the laws of physics make no sense there, and then they name some laws of physics.
Oh, yes, because everybody knows laws of physics, what the equations are.
I mean, yeah, fine.
Okay, the second one that's on here, A equals pi r squared. Actually, I recognize that.
Yeah, you know it. Like, you pretend like you didn't do math with me. We did what's the equivalent, I guess, of like AP maths in America.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's
come
very
on.
true. Though I have to say the second one, F equals mg1 m2 over r2 squared. That
Is it something to do with force, like mass acceleration? Possibly. I don't know. Off the top of my head, that's what I'd say.
the only thing I remember from physics is watching Love Actually at Christmas. That's literally the only thing I remember. And our teacher was called Mr. Whale. That was it.
I remember
That
Mr.
was it.
Oh, Mr. Whale. Yeah.
My physics knowledge is zilch. Anyway, Doris comes over with their food, their coffee, and some hot sauce, I guess, for the hash browns.
Why? Brown sauce. Oh, is brown sauce a thing in America?
No.
Oh, no.
I mean, you can find it, but like it's in the British aisle and it's like 3 times the price. And it's like only HP brown sauce.
You need to take some back with you because I don't know how you're living. I don't know how you're surviving. How are you doing, Annabelle?
I got ketchup. Honestly, I don't eat a lot of stuff that would require brown sauce.
Potatoes.
I don't know. I eat so much pasta though.
Oh yeah,
So
pasta is a solid choice.
no, it's not. I don't. I say I eat so much pasta, but I like actually make real food. Like I make chicken Alfredo, lasagna, spaghetti bolognese. I don't do. And if I'm just gonna have plain pasta, it's gonna be pasta and cheese. That's it. Like I'm not gonna put ketchup in it.
Ketchup. No, okay, no. Pasta, plain pasta, melted cheese, tomato ketchup.
No,
British staple food.
it is, and that's why I don't have it because it's like
Put some baked beans on that. Done.
No baked beans on toast. Yes, absolutely. Baked beans and pasta. No.
Wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it.
So yes, so she brings over the hot sauce and it drops on the floor and it smashes.
And some hot sauce for the... Whoops. Crap.
So they walk past a dog that's barking at both of them. Dean's not convinced. He knows it's just some tourist trap. I've never actually been to any sort of tourist trap like that before, I don't think. Maybe as a kid, but I don't think I've ever been to like an actual tourist trap. I kind of want to go see one.
I don't think they're as big in England as they are in like America. I feel like roadside attractions are like a bigger thing in America. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to some like terrible roadside thing. I've been to anything like that. I don't think so. I want to go to like a cryptid museum. I want to see Bigfoot.
So when you can come out this way, we should go up to the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure there's a whole bunch up that way. Have you seen Gravity Falls?
Yes, I have. I love Gravity Falls.
I just think of that.
I'm just saying there are spots in the world where holes open up and swallow people. The Bermuda Triangle, the Oregon Vortex.
Broward County mystery spot.
Well, sometimes these places are legit.
And as they're walking, Dean collides into a blonde woman who's got like something clutched to her chest. We don't know what it is. Sam's explaining that the law is kind of crazy and just he sounds like he's talking out of like a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
And it almost like it feels very strange to hear sci-fi out of a supernatural show, and it just like when he was saying it, like even I wasn't that convinced by it. I was like, you're not saying it with enough conviction, Sam.
Like, really, Sam? Really?
The lore's pretty freaking nuts, actually. I mean, they say these places, the magnetic fields are so strong that they can bend space-time, sending victims getting no one knows where.
Sounds a little X-Files to me.
I guess Sam is Fox Mulder in this episode. He's kind of like, yeah, but we have to check it out because it could be legit. Like, maybe it is aliens. This time, Scully, it might be aliens. I know the other 100 times it wasn't aliens, but this time... there's 2 movers and they're trying to get this desk into a building. I don't know why I've always thought this was a piano. And like I watched it again this time and I'm like, it's not a piano. Because of what happens with it, it should have been a piano.
Yeah, but they hadn't gone that kind of cartoon, like super cartoony yet.
I feel like this is cartoony enough. That should have been a piano.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like the only reason it wasn't piano was maybe they couldn't get one in time. Yeah, I was disappointed it wasn't a piano.
And had that awful sound.
Yeah, dong.
Yeah, exactly. So Sam says, all right, let's just go have a look anyway, see if there is anything. Dean suggests to go at nighttime, or after it closes. What do you think they did during that day?
That's a good question. I guess maybe like asked around town some more about this guy. I don't know. Got some lunch. Went back to the motel. Watched the movie. I don't know. What do you think they did?
I mean, since they're supposed to be in Florida, I would imagine they probably went to the beach that day.
No!
We didn't get to see it.
1,000 no's. No, they can't have gone to the beach and like didn't even show it.
Broward County is right on the beach.
No.
Like most counties are in Florida, but yeah.
Fine. Oh, this episode should have ended on the beach.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it, Supernatural. Why? What's your aversion other than being in Vancouver? Look, I would have been perfectly content with a green screen beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have them just run into the ocean. That would be hilarious.
I want to see like the Impala like parked just above the sand, not on the sand because you can't get the sand on baby because it would scratch the paintwork. But you know, just sort of above the sand, them sitting on the hood of the car, looking at the ocean with a beer. I'm here for that. Green screen it. It's all I wanted.
And then we get the famous neon sign, like eye thing, swirly. Can't really describe it.
It's like a door and a hallway that's like painted sort of black and neon green in like a spiral. I really like it. That was one set piece. I'm always like, they should have sold that. Like, I feel like people would have paid good money for that set piece because it's so like iconic. It's really good. I really like it. It just looks so cool. It reminds me of Everybody Loves the Clown when they're in the like funhouse bit with all the neon door frames. Yeah, that kind of aesthetic. I love it.
So as they're walking around, Sam pulls out his EMF reader and Dean's shining the light around. He's like, oh yeah, it's totally uncanny. Like, though at the same time, you're going at nighttime where like you don't have the excitement of the day. Like, it's the other people around you that makes this stuff fun. He's not giving it a chance.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it is absolutely fake and, like, you see this, like, roast dinner on the table and you can tell it's clearly plastic.
The weird thing about that dinner to me, and I wrote this down, was that the liquid in the glass was real. If you watch it, as Sam walks past it, he kind of wobbles the table slightly and the liquid moves, like it's actual liquid. So
that's really funny.
Rather than doing it with like resin or whatever, someone was like, just going to pour some stuff in here, it'll be fine. I understand why Dean doesn't like this kind of stuff. I feel like it's the same kind of disregard he has for other people who are pretending to be supernatural things. It's like, why are you trying to make things more magical than they actually are? Things are already pretty like messed up over there, like out in the world.
It's the same attitude he has towards amateur ghost hunters.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
And I guess you know, he's been exposed to it all his life. I guess he just doesn't see the appeal.
Why would why would you find floating like desks and stuff interesting when you've been taken out by a desk like being thrown at you by a ghost? Like it kind of loses its charm.
Yes, very, very quickly. And as they're walking around, we get a different camera angle and it's clear that they're being watched by something. And then the owner comes out with a shotgun and asks them what they're doing. Dean tries to like calm him down, like says, okay, I'm just going to put the gun down, like nothing's going to happen. And then the shotgun goes off and kills Dean. That was really sad.
It was really sad. The first death scene is the worst, I feel, actually.
Yes.
Because
you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to go. It was very reminiscent of other times Dean's died. And I was like, no, I don't like it. Like Sam's reaction and everything is very genuine and like it was very painful to watch. I didn't enjoy it.
No, not like this.
Nope. And like Dean hasn't died yet. And we know that he dies a whole bunch of times, like outside of this episode. And yeah. It doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't.
And like, it's gonna happen in like 5 episodes as well. And it's just like,
ready? I'm not ready.
No, I'm not ready either. I'm not ready. And like Jensen dies in the same way. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
His little like exhale, eyes closed.
Yes. Yes. It will forever haunt me.
Isn't there like action movie school of dying? I feel
Definitely. And then we finally get the title screen. Like it was 6 minutes. I think that's the longest opener that we've had.
It's long. I do enjoy it.
It wasn't until the title actually came up that I was like, oh yeah, we haven't actually seen it yet.
It's like for dramatic effect as well. It's like, this is the episode, guys. Dean's died.
Yeah, like I would have loved to have seen this on TV, like at the time, because you would have gone into an ad break. So you would have had like 5 to 7 minutes of like thinking that Dean's dead. And being like, what the hell is this?
I'm trying to remember with the last episode of Supernatural where the ad breaks were and how mad I was at what points. Because I think I did watch it with ads because I had to watch it kind of live. That's all I'm saying about that. And I think like they were strategically placed.
So we've just come back from the ad break and it's Sam, and Heat of the Moment comes on and he does this whole like sitting up, and it's this exact same sequence.
Rise and shine, Sammy.
I'd be remiss if I didn't point out for Charlie, who often joins us on the podcast, that in the room and the motel room and the bathroom are all decorated with pink flamingos. So you can enjoy that one. I know you would have pointed it out.
It's a slightly shorter sequence than the first time through, but we see the head bop, we see the lip sync. In the bathroom this time, Sam is just sort of staring at Dean while he gargles water and like kind of does his own little thing. Sam is clearly very confused, like he's not sure what's going on.
Man, I had a weird dream.
So they walk back into the diner, and again, this sequence is very much the same.
Hey, Tuesday, taking a poke.
It's Tuesday?
Yeah.
And
I don't know why he'd be confused that it was Tuesday. This has always bothered me. Because I know he just lived through a Tuesday, but he lived through the whole Tuesday and then Dean died. What part of the day did he only think the last part of the day was a dream? Why would he not think that he dreamed a whole day? I don't know. I'm confused by why he wouldn't think it was Tuesday. He's just woken up after his brother has died, and he's like, oh, that must have been a weird dream, that whole day that I just had. So why would today not be the day that he was waking up to, which would be a Tuesday? Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, that's true.
But I guess if you dreamed a whole 24 hours, it would be extremely confusing. Okay. I'm just going to say Sam is confused. It's fine. Which I would be too if I was in a time loop.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. No, it's Tuesday. Doris comes over to ask for their order. Dean gets the special. Sam gets nothing. He says the exact same line about trying to find Bella. Sam is very, very confused. Dean's trying to get Sam's attention. Sam asked, you don't remember any of this? I love this whole thing about deja vu. Like, Sam gets so annoyed with him calling it deja vu.
Yeah, because Dean's like, so it's like deja vu. And Sam's like, no, it's not like deja vu. The day's already happened. It's like exactly like deja vu. And Sam's like, no, it's not like deja vu. But it is like deja vu.
It's exactly deja vu. It's exactly what it is.
The thing he is describing is exactly deja vu.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I just love the fact he gets so angry with it. And there's no explanation as to why he's so angry with it. I mean, I guess because of the ending of the day, like, he doesn't want to think about it. Like, if it's deja vu, that means it's more likely to happen. Right?
I don't think that's how deja vu works.
I don't know either. It's in the moment, right? Like, you feel it.
It's the feeling that something has happened before, which for Sam it has. So it's exactly deja vu. I'm with Dean on this one. It is deja vu.
And as Doris comes back with a coffee, the hot sauce falls again, but Sam manages to catch it.
Yeah.
I do wonder if this was like the reverse and it was Dean who was going through this time loop, whether he would have made a reference to him being like Spider-Man because at this point the Tobey Maguire movies would have come out.
Yeah.
And like there's that whole sequence where he like catches all the food that's fallen off
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's an interesting thought experiment to have. Like, if this was Dean trapped in the time loop, how would he react? I feel like way more frustration than Sam shows here. Sam's really patient with Dean through all of these loops. Every time he has to explain it, he does get more frustrated as it goes on, but it's never like incredibly frustrated, I don't feel.
Sam would be on board much faster. It takes Dean a lot every time. It takes him through breakfast for him to accept that he, like, Sam's in this time loop.
Yes.
And like want to experiment outside of the time loop. But then again, Dean is like full of beans in this episode. like you're saying at the beginning, like he's just been an irritant.
Yeah, he's just like fully in Dean mode through the whole of this episode. Yeah. I think you're right. I think they would have got through each day quicker because Sam would have believed Dean sooner, for sure. I feel like there would have been a very clear like trigger as to what would get Sam to believe it as well. Where for Dean, even though they're in a time loop, what gets him to believe Sam almost seems to be different every time.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he's so, I want to say irritating, but not. He's just so stuck in his ways. He's just like,
right.
It's almost like, resistant to the time loop.
It is bordering on sci-fi, this one, rather than supernatural. Like, the idea that this could happen is just beyond Dean. He just knows it. I mean, he refers to it as Groundhog Day later.
That's how he understands it, through movie references. Like, I feel like, and Sam never really adjusts that to him. I feel like he could wake up in the morning and be like, dude, I'm stuck in Groundhog Day, and Dean would be like, right, how do we fix this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, every single day.
And I feel like the way that Dean would have approached this is like, he probably would have watched Groundhog Day to find out how they fix it.
You need to find the true meaning of Groundhog Day is the friends you made along the way. I can't remember how that movie ends, but I feel like that's it.
And then we get the, like, I feel like this is the most memed part of this episode.
Okay, look. Yesterday was Tuesday, right? But today is Tuesday too.
Yeah. No, good. You're totally balanced.
Like, he really doesn't believe him for such a long time. Like, Sam must have had to really, really work through all the loops to get him to believe it over breakfast. Like, the sheer determination of Sam to get Dean to believe him is immense, honestly. That must have been the hardest part of this. Every single day waking up and being like, oh God, I gotta explain it to Dean again.
I gotta explain it again. Yeah, like, how am I gonna do it this time? Well, I think it's really funny is that, you know how in other episodes we've always sort of had like a hint of what they were doing and why they were going to certain places. There's no explanation as to why they walk down this street every single time. Like, where are they going? What are they doing?
My only explanation is they're walking back to the Impala.
Yeah.
That's literally that's the only thing I've ever thought of for this, because there are time jumps in this as well as loops where things happen. The same stuff happens as they walk down. I really like how they do it. The way they film them walking down the street is really nice. Like, you kind of know how they did it with like a camera on a track kind of thing. But I just enjoy like the close-ups of their face, like them shoulder to shoulder in the camera shot is really nice. Like, as they're having a conversation, just like really close. It's really interesting. Just going to talk about Kim Manners for a second here. It's really interesting because when they're having conversations in this episode, they tend to be quite close together and like showing them almost as like a unit. And then when they do show Dean's like death scenes in this, it's always quite like zoomed out, and it feels lonely and isolated for Sam. I just really enjoyed the sort of camera work on that.
Hey, maybe it was another one of your psychic premonitions.
No way. Way too vivid. Okay, look, we were at the mystery spot, and then...
And then what?
Then I woke up.
Did you notice he doesn't deny, like, because every time someone said his psychic powers, he says, I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
But here he says, no, they're way too vivid. I think he's still been having them, or he still has his powers, but he just doesn't want people to know.
I don't know. That's a really hard one for me, because I feel like Sam thinks they're gone. And my problem with this episode is, I think for the first few loops, maybe just for this one actually, I think maybe Sam thought this had been a vision. Like, he's saying like, no, it's too vivid, like it couldn't possibly be one. But I feel like must be sat there in the back of his mind, like, are my demon powers coming back? Which is quite a bad sign for him. Yeah.
He then explains that they went to the mystery spot and then he woke up. I don't know why. I guess this is the only time that he doesn't claim that doesn't tell Dean the entire truth in that he dies, and that's why it starts over again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is.
I can understand it in this one because Dean's already equated this to his psychic premonitions, and I do think in this loop, Sam thinks that is what it might be. I do honestly think that, just because the way he's acting is a little bit like, did this really happen? Was it real? That kind of stuff. And if it had been a like premonition, they always come true pretty much.
Yeah, so I guess if he doesn't say it, it's not true.
Mm-hmm. It like the premonitions, they tried to stop them before, and they always seem to happen anyway in some convoluted way, even though they tried to avoid it here. So maybe he was still worried that Dean was going to die. I mean, he does, but like that Dean was going to die either way. So looking for, you just don't want to freak him out. He's already got the whole demon deal thing hanging over his head.
So they decide that they're going to go back to the mystery spot. Dean says, okay, we'll go after it closes. Sam's like, no, wait, no, let's go now.
Let's just go now. Right now. Business hours, nice and crowded.
My God, you're a freak.
Dean.
Okay, whatever. We'll go now.
He calls him a freak, which I think, it's been a long time since Sam's been called a freak.
Yeah.
But he's just calling him a name, I think, because he's acting so strangely.
Yeah, I think Dean's a little weirded out, and it kind of goes back to old habits, almost. Yeah. Old mean habits. Mm-hmm. Because it would be kind of scary if you wake up and someone's like, this has all happened before, and like, I don't understand what's going on, and like, it's quite jarring for Dean. So
they decide to go now, and as he crosses the road, he gets hit by a car, goes flying in the air, and it turns out it was the guy, the old man from the diner. Again, he dies in his arms.
Like, the difference between this one and the last one is that Dean dies immediately, I think. I think he's already dead. Yeah, it's pretty sad. What's with the whole dying in Sam's arms thing? Let's talk about this for 2 seconds, because I feel like it needs addressing.
I think this is the trickster, like, really playing with Sam at the beginning.
Yes.
And then he starts to have fun with the way that he kills off Dean. Mm-hmm. I think that's basically what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a TV trope, isn't it? I think that's what it kind of comes down to.
The thing is like, how many times does Dean die on the floor, right? So there's all this. There's a few here that he doesn't die on the floor, but I mean, they're for comedic effect. But, I think of like the end of this series. I think of like end of season 9. I always get season 9 and 10 confused, so don't quote me on that. I think it's the end of season 9. Like, it's always the kind of the same. Like, someone's holding him and it's like, oh, it's so sad. My mind cuts to talking about 1520 and Dean able to die standing, and then Jensen saying in the convention, he was like, yeah, that's how I wanted it to go. I basically didn't want Dean to die on the floor again in Sam's arms. And it's like, why? Is it because it happened so... Maybe it was like, we've seen it so many times that Dean died like this on the floor, Sam holding him like, Dean, no, kind of stuff, that maybe he wanted that to be different for the final episode, to show that the death was different from the previous times.
And that there was no coming back from this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he still died in Sam's arms, though. It doesn't... Okay, he's not cradling him in the same way, but, like, he's still holding him up and, like, close.
Yeah, I do feel like there's... I'm going with it on this. Like, I feel like there's more of a separation there, though, than it's not as...
It's not quite as intimate, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I'm thinking. It's not. So maybe it's showing that they're kind of... I don't know why I'm saying positive things about 1520 here. My brain must have broken at some point. But it's showing... I guess it is a good way of framing it, because it's showing that they have separated somewhat and maybe willing to let each other go a bit more than sort of holding on to each other so tightly like they could keep them there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's just a different concept that I haven't thought about, so God, that sucks.
It's horrible. Yeah. I apologize.
But I think you're right. I think that is, if there is some sort of positive to that finale.
The thing is, you can't deny that scene isn't right. Okay. Gosh, what's happened to me? I'm so sorry about this. 1520 is not written well. It is acted well, I feel.
Yes, yeah.
The scene that we're talking about, I feel it was done well. I feel like they put everything they could into that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jensen talking about the adjustments that they made did add to the emotionalness of it.
Yeah, I mean, they're eye to eye,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what's so impactful about that one.
Yeah, I think so. It's still dumb. He died in a dumb way. I'm not disputing that.
No.
I feel like things were done with it as the best they could be, considering the circumstances
material
of what was happening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know why it made me think of that, and I think probably because Jensen had said that at the convention too about asking for Dean to die on his feet.
Yeah.
Don't get emotional, Amy. That's what made me think of this, because it doesn't really happen in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because these ones, like the first and the second ones, are really the only ones that are drawn out, should we say?
Emotional, yeah.
Yeah. The rest are just, they're then played for comedic effect, essentially. Which I think is kind of terrible, because with each comedic death, Sam gets more and more distressed and more angry. Yeah. Which is like, I hate laughing at someone's pain in this way, but it is so funny. Some of these ones,
it's cartoony.
Yeah,
but you must be thinking like Sam is just going through talking of personal hells. We've already discussed this in this series, that this whole series is showing each character's kind of personal hell. This is Sam's, and it's a whole episode. Yeah,
it's almost every conceivable way. So we know there's been at least 100 deaths. Yeah, that's almost 3.5 months. Yeah, that's 3.5 months of watching your brother die over and over and over again.
Every single day.
That's a really long time.
Yeah.
It's like, I know not every day is like an entire day, but like he still has to wake up as if it's a new day every day.
And explain to Dean again what's going on and how they're going to fix it. This is really dark. I wonder if there are any days where Sam just killed Dean. But what if that was the final one? I don't think that ever happened. No, I was thinking about this too, because I don't think he ever did it in case that broke the cycle.
Well, so there is one though where he accidentally kills Dean. We don't see it.
Yeah.
So I don't think he ever purposely just killed him.
No, there were definitely ones in the loop where his actions led to Dean being killed.
Yes.
Some more direct than others. But yeah, I don't think he ever decided that, I don't know.
Sam is not that cold. Like even though he's frustrated and angry, he is still trying.
He is.
Even after 100, he's still trying. Which means he still cares and still wants to save him.
Yeah, I agree.
Do I think he probably smacked him? Probably.
the frustration. Yeah. We often talk about this from Sam's perspective, this episode, and what it means to the series finale of this, season 3 and all that kind of stuff. It also shows just Dean's sort of recklessness generally that Sam has to deal with on a day-to-day basis, because there doesn't seem to be, in any of the times he explains it to him, any sense of self-preservation. No, not at all. Not one time. Like, they're talking about laying low and stuff. I know a lot of the deaths are accidental, but they're still... Dean doesn't seem on edge at any point. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't seem cautious or looking out for things. He's literally walking into his own death over and over and over again.
Which makes it even funnier after Bad Day at Black Rock, after he told Sam not to even scratch his nose.
I know.
When it's been proven that Sam has such bad luck and they know that he's going to die. Yeah. You would think that Dean would have that, in his mind. Yeah. As I was watching this episode as well, thinking of, the bigger meta, do you think Chuck wrote this? Or this was, something that was influenced by the trickster? In that, he had... Every time he was trying to write that day, he couldn't get through it because it was being erased somehow.
I feel like this was off book. I do. I think the trickster's a little
so-and-so.
Little so-and-so. I feel like this was off book. I mean, we'll talk about probably this a bit more later in the episode too, but I feel like this episode, it plays into Chuck's storyline for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
I feel like the way it was done is not necessarily how Chuck would do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting one.
So Dean is dead again, and we get heat of the moment.
Yes.
So we skip the beginning part of the diner, but now they're sat down and picking a poke. This is the third time that he's gone through it. So I feel like they're trying to establish how freaked out Sam is at this point. Sam orders for Dean. I kind of love the line that he says.
Me too.
Are you boys ready?
He'll take the special side of bacon, coffee, black. Nothing for me, thanks.
You got it.
Sammy, I get all tingly when you take control like that.
Quit screwing around, Dean.
This air of like not taking it seriously. Because Sam even says, quit screwing around. Sam's like, well, that's the whole point. Like, I know what's going to happen before it happens. And he proves that point by catching again the hot sauce that's about to fall.
Yeah.
I do love, like, Jared does such a good job in this episode of showing, like, slowly descending into madness.
Yes.
And, like, this is the beginning of it. Like, the way he says, don't tell me to calm down.
Yeah.
This is great. And then he finally then admits that he dies today. I guess going through it twice and having it different. So I feel like had Dean died in the same manner as the time before, he probably wouldn't have said anything. But because he got killed by a car, he's like, okay, this is different, so I need to tell him that he dies today. Dean's like, well, I'm not going to die today. It'll be fine. Like, don't worry about it.
It's fine,
not
man.
today.
It's just my life. Don't worry about it. It's so chill. It's all fine.
I mean, it's kind of, I wonder if this episode was supposed to be in a different spot of this season. Just because of, at the end of the last episode, he was all like determined about his deal and like trying to get out of it and like trying to save himself.
Yeah.
And then he's been told that he's already died twice.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm not going to die today. It's like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, but you've already said that you want to live, but you're not actively trying to save yourself, like you said earlier.
I think you're right. I think it's like this episode would actually make more sense before that episode, before Dream a Little Dream of Me, because that's such a turning point in Dean's character, and then they kind of like erased that with this episode a bit. I think it comes back, but I wonder maybe if this is somewhat of the trickster's influence, though, just to kind of rile up Sam even more. Just that Dean's like disregard for his own life, because Sam thinks that of him anyway. Dean has no regard for his life.
Yeah, and we've seen that the trickster can already influence their actions in this way with Tall Tales, like how they were bickering so much.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it does feel very much how they were acting in Tall Tales.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I really do think it's the trickster's influence.
So we see the dog bark, Dean bump into the girl, we see the movers, so they're going to go after hours. Sam says no. He explains that he dies there, and I hate the fact he says blown away.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
But it's like casualness, right? I feel like if he'd said he was shot, it's too serious to say. Right, they have to use their weird movie reference language with each other.
Exactly. And then Dean starts to cross the road, but Sam grabs him. Mr. Pickett like yells out the window. Dean asks if it was cool like it was in the movies how he died by getting hit by a car.
Yeah.
Sam's just like, no, you peed yourself. And Dean gets all defensive.
Like, no, it's not cool if you get hit by a car. Why would you think it looked cool, Dean? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, man? So, okay, this bit bothered me. I need to talk about this for 2 seconds. So they go back to the mystery spot to interview the guy, right? And they're wearing suits. They know that Dean's going to die in some way. Why did they even take the time to go put on suits? Why did they even take the time? Why? Well,
so again, how much do you think? I feel like Sam is living these days in the hopes that it will resolve itself by finding an answer. Just approaching it like a normal case is probably the best thing he can do at this point, especially since this is number 3.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if this was number 8, 9, 10, he would be like, whatever, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go torture the guy, essentially.
It's just the time gap between... You'd think like it would happen sequentially, so they'd be like, okay, let's go check out the mystery spot, we'll get in the car, we'll drive straight there. But they drove back to the motel, all got changed in the car, that's likely as well, into their suits before interviewing this guy. It just, I don't know, just to see them in suits when this episode was really jarring. It's like, priorities. Also, they were posing as journalists. It doesn't matter if they were wearing suits.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true. My question is, do you think... So what you said earlier about them being sort of somewhat separated is every time that Dean dies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think them, like, being in the car would never make Dean die?
Because they're too kind of close?
Yeah, there's nothing that could happen. Like, so if they stuck side by side for the entire time... Because even when the, like, desk falls... Dean is slightly in front of him, and that's when...
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to say that's the case, but I feel like it's not in line with what the trickster was trying to do. It would almost be the closer they stuck together, the more likely Dean was to die. Maybe if Sam had given him a day where he went off by himself, he might have lived for longer for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, so I guess...
I mean, that's true, actually, because the whole point of the trickster is that Sam has to be there to witness Dean's death. So maybe if he just let Dean go do a day by himself, he may have survived until Wednesday.
Who knows? Sam at the beginning of this episode is very, like, cordial and just sort of asking him about, like, how the mystery spot happened, like, came about and all this kind of stuff. But as the interview goes on, he just gets angrier and angrier, I guess because he's, like, thinking of, you know, the first Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, well, this guy shot Dean. Yeah, 100% he doesn't like this guy.
The owner, anyway. You know, he's not really giving real answers because being journalists, he's trying to hype up his place.
Yeah. And
not really kind of, like, telling them anything of substance. You know, the laws of physics have no meaning. And Sam's like, yeah, but, like, how?
What does that actually mean?
And then Dean brings up the missing person. Then the owner gets hostile and sort of asks about, you know, what's this article really about? Sam just gets in his face and they decide to leave, essentially. Or Dean basically tells him to get out.
Well, yeah, like Sam really gets angry with him, and it takes that for the guy to break and be like, I bought this place, a foreclosure. Just, like, lay off. Guys, it's just a place. It's a tourist trap. Lay off me. Yeah. Dean's the one that has to step in and take Sam. It's normally the other way around. So it, again, just showing how far gone Sam is in this sort of frustration that he's feeling. They get to nighttime, and again, they're out of their suits. Just saying.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's really funny.
Why? But fine. Like, this one would have been fine for them to still be in their suits, but as you said, because they're probably shooting all of this on the same day, they were like, oh, no one will notice if they took their suits off. Sam's so confused. He's like, I don't know what's happening. Dean is finally kind of like, okay, so I've just got to, like, not die, and then everything will be fine. Like, that's his solution. Just, okay, I just won't die then. And his suggestion is that they get some takeout, go back to the motel and lay low till midnight, which was basically his plan in Bad Day at Black Rock. Also, so I'm guessing that's Dean's go-to. Okay, we'll just go get some food, go to sleep. Everything will be fine in the morning.
I mean, that's a brilliant way to look at life when things are going a bit rubbish. Just go get some Chinese and, like, hide at home.
And then, of course, like, Dean's like, okay, let's go get some Chinese food. He walks in front of Sam and gets cartoon flattened by that desk that those movers are trying to get upstairs. The desk falling and the blood splatter is just amazing. And the, like, Dean's feet sticking out at the bottom, like Wicked Witch of the West. Like,
East.
Is it the East? It is, yeah, the Wicked Witch of the East. Is perfect. Does that mean that his, like, Carhartt boots, whatever they are like ruby slippers?
Yes.
Oh, they should have done that at some point.
But no place like home.
Like Sam putting them on and clicking his heels. Clicking Dean's little heels together, because he has a substantial heel on those boots.
Yes, he does. He needs those lifts to be around Sam.
Sam must have been annoyed because it's nighttime. He probably thought, like, they were almost there. Like, oh, we're almost to Wednesday. And then Dean's was like, no, get squashed by this. What should have been a piano. I will die on this hill. I
guess the thing with the piano is that, so in my mind, it's one of those grand pianos.
Yes.
Right? It's not one of those stand-up ones.
I think you could have either. I really do.
Well, so the reason why I'm like, kind of like, is because the thing with the desk is that it is like, it's solid at the bottom, so it's like a really nice squish.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas with the piano, like, the legs would break. And I don't know if it would be such a nice squish.
It would, but like getting hit from anything by height. Think about physics and crumple zones, right?
Yeah,
so even if it's got legs on it, you're still going to be hit by the bottom of the piano.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Sorry.
And also, well, I think another thing is that there's like professional piano movers, so they know what they're doing. So I think that it would be really difficult.
Look. The trope is people getting hit by a piano. So why didn't they do it?
That's true.
It would have been even better if it was a giant anvil, and yet it wasn't. So
that's true.
You know, I wanted to see the broken keys and his feet sticking out from under the keys of the piano. Perfect.
Yep. I mean, and then we get a very short heat of the moment segment, but instead of Sam getting up, he sort of lies back down.
I mean, yeah, I'd give up too, just for a minute. Just be like, yep, this is terrible. I'll go back to bed. Maybe Dean won't die if I go back to bed.
Well, this is what you were just saying, like, let him just do the day and stay in the motel all day.
Yeah, just like, let Dean go have a day out. Can you imagine that day? Like, he lets Dean go do his own thing. Like, maybe if I'm not there, Dean won't die. And so, like, Dean has a really good day doing Dean stuff. And then he comes back at midnight and just, like, trips over the threshold of the motel and dies. Like, literally as he arrives back. That's what would happen. That's the kind of irony of this situation. They show, like, a little, basically, montage of all the way that Dean dies. So, showing Sam explaining again to him in the diner that he's going to die and stuff. And he's like, okay, I'll change it up. I'll order sausages instead of bacon. So he gets the waitress to change his order, and then as he's chewing on a sausage, he literally chokes on it to death. That's not
telling.
I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
Why? He could have choked in the hash browns, could have choked in anything else, could have choked in his coffee, could have ordered some orange juice. He didn't need to die choking on a sausage.
He died so quickly too, like
Sam didn't even try to like save him, it looked like. He just watched him choke.
Maybe he was just so unbelieving that this was happening.
Oh my gosh. Sam wakes up. We see Dean in the shower, like all soapy, like peering around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, but why is he in the shower?
I don't know. They're trying to mix up the day. So he's like, well, I didn't have a shower the first day, so I'll have a shower this time.
Maybe.
You know, Sam hears him trip and fall in the shower.
Yep.
The absolute best death. Well, they've clearly stayed in for the day, like doing nothing, you know, and they're eating tacos.
These tacos taste funny to you?
Just the cut. It's just so perfect. A perfect moment of comedy on television.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Dean being electrocuted by his razor?
Yeah.
That was a weird one. Again, the CGI.
Seeing his skeleton move inside his body. It's great.
I love this one too. Like they see the neon green and the spiral, so they've gone back to the mystery spot and they set up this whole scene. So Sam's clearly just absolutely lost it, gone cuckoo bananas. And like wailing on the wall of the mystery spot with his axe. The owner is tied up and gagged. I wonder if he even explained what he was going to do to Dean before he started doing this. But Dean's 100% his like ride or die, because he's just like, look, he's going through some stuff. Like,
I love it.
He's going to be absolutely fine. No one's going to get hurt. It's all going to be great. Dean kind of goes up to Sam and says, give me that axe. Like, you've had enough. This is out of hand. And it shows it all off screen, but I guess they kind of wrestle over it and Sam kills Dean with an axe.
And the owner gets splat with blood. Like, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. That must be one of the ones that really haunts Sam. Do you think this is why? Do you think when Dean was a demon? He doesn't remember. Okay, Dean doesn't remember anything from Mystery Spot, but I reckon there's like latent memories in there. And do you think that's why he went after Sam with that axe when he was a demon? That was revenge.
He has an axe to grind.
Boom. The final one of these, we see Sam and Dean and they're in the diner. And Sam chucks some keys on the table and says that he stole them from that old man. And we find out that it's been 100 rounds for Sam. 100 times, which is absolutely wild. This is the point in the time loop that we always see when people do time loop episodes, where the person's able to explain exactly the day every time. He basically just convinces Dean by doing everything that's going to happen. I love that he's so mad at Doris. She comes over and is like, what do you want? And he's like, I want you to be a better shot, Doris. So clearly at some point she killed Dean with a bow and arrow.
Which, okay.
Okay. You know, they go through, yes, this is a time loop. Yes, this is Groundhog Day. There's no way to stop it. And Dean's just like, what is going on? You're really, really, really grumpy. You know, he saves the hot sauce. And to kind of prove that Sam knows what's going on, he starts mimicking Dean, to like doing the exact same lines that he is doing. I love it so much.
You don't know everything.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
right. Nice guess. It wasn't a guess.
Right, you're a mind reader.
Cut it out, Sam.
Sam?
You think you're being funny, but you're being really, really childish. Sam Winchester wears makeup. Sam Winchester cries his way through sex. Sam Winchester keeps a ruler by the bed, and every morning when he wakes up, okay, enough.
Yes.
It must have taken so much practice.
Because they say it in the same speed, same tone of voice, everything. And like that line that's super, super long, how could you not break?
I guess if you do it enough times, like...
Yeah, I guess.
Sam knows everybody in town. He knows that, like, the cashier is skimming stuff off the top of the register, that the judge puts on a furry bunny outfit, who clearly overhears him saying this. And the cow, the guy who's been struggling for money, is going to rob the mechanic on his way home. Sam also says that he's ripped apart the mystery spot. Like, one time he burned it down. And I really wish we could have seen that. I wanted to see, like, Sam, like, wild hair, stood across from the mystery spot with, like, a gas canister in hand as it just, like, goes, like, boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are some scenes from this that are missing, which are fun to imagine, that I wish you could have seen. They go back outside and the dog's barking at them again, and Dean's convinced he's on board. They pass Mr. Pickett, who can't find his keys because Sam stole them. Dean bumps into the blonde girl. He says, like, she's kind of cute. Like, in 100 days, did Sam never think that maybe Dean pursuing this blonde girl maybe would be helpful at some point? I doubt his brain works like that.
He's so fixated that it's the mystery spot that's causing this.
Dean goes back and he talks to the blonde woman because he's like, bet you've never done this before, and gets from her a poster, which is the missing guy, the one that kind of Sam's lost sight of. I guess the implication here is maybe they have to solve the case. I think that's what Dean is trying to say, like, maybe we should solve the case and it will all just work itself out. But he doesn't really get to say that because he goes to, like, look at the dog and it's like, oh, a nice dog. And then the dog mauls him to death, I guess. What a horrific way to die.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Not foreshadowing anything ever at all.
So we hear Heat of the Moment again, just go straight to the diner. Sam has clearly been researching. The fact that he knows so much, I think there's been more in between.
It's completely possible, but yeah.
Because there hasn't been any time for him to research the professor and get to the diner, because it's always been just like, they wake up, they get ready, they go, they eat.
Yeah.
So I think there's been at least one more in between.
That would make sense, absolutely. So this could be like 102.
Like they died in like a library or something.
Our bookcase definitely fell on Dean.
But he basically tells Dean about this Hasselback person, and he basically debunks all of these sort of mystery spot areas. He's already shut down a few of these already, and his next target was the mystery spot. Dean makes an observation that he sounds a bit of a pompous schmuck.
When do you have time to do all this research?
Come on.
Dean makes the observation of, like, you know, it's funny, this guy spends his whole life crapping on mystery spots and then he vanishes at one. Kind of poetic, you know, just desserts. Yeah. And as he says that, Dean looks over to this plate and it has strawberry syrup, which someone's got to explain to me why strawberry syrup exists, because that sounds disgusting. Strawberry should not be a syrup.
Yeah.
But Sam was like, nothing changes here. Everybody does the same thing over and over again. He always gets maple. There's got to be something going on here. We don't see how Dean dies in this iteration, because it then starts with Heat at the Moment again.
Yeah.
Maybe he slipped as he's walked out of the diner. Who knows?
This is my question. Did Dean die in this one? Because I wonder if because Sam made that realization, it almost reset to confuse him.
So the way that I kind of I'm imagining how the trickster works is like he's almost watching it in a box, and he can like put himself in when he wants to, or the trickster is in amongst what's going on, because how would he see that?
Yeah, it's the thing. The thing is, I feel by this point the trickster's getting bored, and I don't think the maple to strawberry thing was an accident. And Sam's pretty smart, so he kind of expected him to figure it out. So maybe him figuring out was the kind of trigger point to him waking up again, as like, oh, you did something significant. You progressed the quest line. I'm not sure. I mean, it definitely could have progressed like a normal day, but like I feel like Sam would have definitely gone to confront that person then. It would have, you know, if Dean hadn't immediately like died on the spot for then and there for him to wake up, which I feel they just would have shown him like getting stuck with a fork or drinking the syrup and dying.
I guess, yeah, I think you're right. I do think he probably did just reset the day so he couldn't be, like, he realized he made a mistake, or he did it on purpose, like you said, because the next day in the diner, it's back to maple syrup.
So maybe, yeah, was it intentional? Was it not? I don't know. Part of me wants to think it is, and then because it goes back to maple, it's like, was it just this little slip?
Can the trickster leave the loop?
I don't know. Maybe he has to be there to influence things around him. Oh, I don't know. Too many questions.
And, like, we never really get an answer because of who the trickster is.
I mean, fair. I don't actually think I want answers.
And the man gets up and leaves the diner, and Sam pursues him.
There's only one creature powerful enough to do what you're doing. Making reality out of nothing, sticking people in time loops. In fact, you pretty much have to be a god. You'd have to be a trickster.
Again, talking about prep time, when did Sam get the steak and the blood?
Because he's not carrying anything over from the day before.
Unless because they've come across 3 pagan gods now, they kind of just have that in the trunk.
They probably have the things to make it. And then the guy transforms into the trickster.
Woo! I love it's actually Bucko. Bucko. I don't know why I like him saying Bucko. It's just so different. I love Richard Spike. So, I mean, Sam confronts the trickster, Loki. I guess we'll still call him Loki at this point. I might switch later. And, you know, basically confronts him and be like, what is going on? Why are you even doing this? How does Hasselback come into all of this? What on earth? And it seems like the trickster was there to basically get Hasselback. He dropped him into a wormhole because he didn't believe in them. And they never find this guy.
Yeah, like, does that mean he's dead? Like, I mean, he has to be, right?
He's dead. Yeah, for sure. He's dead. Yep. And then as they kind of rocked up to investigate this, the trickster kind of noticed them. This is what he says. This is not the truth. 100% he was already here. Like, he did this to lure them here and then enact this whole situation.
Yeah.
I feel like this was all planned. And okay, but I need to switch. I need to switch to Gabriel because look, it is a spoiler, but it's not. Everyone's seen the series. I would hope. If you haven't, it'll make sense. Because Gabriel definitely lured them here and did it, right? And it was all... Yeah. I'm not saying Chuck told him to do anything. I don't think that's the truth. I think he was manipulated into doing this through his own sense of moral duty. It's weird to say moral duty about Gabriel.
I wonder if this was almost like a bit of a turning point for Gabriel as well. The angels are supposed to be brothers and look out for each other as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think he saw this kind of loyalty amongst his angels.
No, I don't think so either.
The fact that, you know, Sam is willing to go through over 100 deaths to stop him probably was like, maybe there is something to these guys, and that the plan that Chuck has is not a good one.
This is it. I think you're right. I think this is a turning point for Gabriel. I don't think this went how he expected it to go in any way.
So this is fun for you? Killing Dean over and over again?
1, Yes, it is fun. And 2, this is so not about killing Dean. This joke is on you, Sam.
He says, like, how long will it take you to realise you can't save your brother no matter what? This is kind of interpreted, I think, as he's trying to... It is kind of like trying to teach Sam a lesson that he can't do it, that it is destructive for him to keep trying to save Dean. Mm-hmm. It's almost... It sounds awful, but it's almost like he's trying to be kind in that he's trying to prepare Sam for something that is inevitably going to happen in a very twisted way.
So do you think it's at this point they start to understand where they were going with their storyline?
I don't know. I don't think they necessarily... I have my suspicions about that they knew who the trickster was going to be later on in this episode. And there's a point that I will point out that I think, oh, they definitely knew that he was Gabriel at this point. But that's my own headcanon. I don't know. I really don't know. This does play into the meta so much, though, that it's almost like Gabriel's trying to help Sam become a better person and try and break the cycle. But then that's not really in, like, Heaven's plan. But we know Gabriel's a rebel. It's all very confusing.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it a bit more at the end of the episode because there is a point that when he comes back and yeah. So here, Sam's threatening to kill him as a trickster with the stake. And he plays into it as like, oh, wait, I was just playing around. It's fine. If you can't take a joke, you're out of it. Tomorrow you'll wake up and it'll be Wednesday. Sam doesn't believe him. And the trickster says, like, well, if I'm lying, you know where to find me. I'll be having pancakes. With that, Sam still's like, nah, I'm just going to kill you, mate.
Yeah.
And he snaps his fingers. I love it so much. It's just... So, yeah, the trickster snaps his fingers and Sam wakes back up again. But this time, it's playing the song from Back to the Future. I'm going back in time. Dean's kind of waking him up, like, what are you going to do, sleep all day? But he's in a different position than he has been before when Sam's woken up. Sam's like, no Asia? And Dean's like, yeah, it sucks. Like, why is there no Asia on the radio? And it finally says on the clock that it's Wednesday.
Geez, how many Tuesdays did you have?
I don't know. I lost count. Hey, wait. What do you remember?
I remember you were pretty whacked out of it yesterday, and then I remember running into the trickster.
It turns out Dean only remembers the previous day, that Sam was kind of acting a bit off and that they ran into the trickster and that was kind of everything. Sam says that they have to leave town. And Dean's like, no breakfast.
Did you see what the special was on a Wednesday? I can't remember.
I can't remember what it was either. Oh. We see Dean. He's at his trunk. It's all like typical Dean trunk. It's messy. It's got the guns in. It's got the dangly necklaces of charms and things. I love Dean's trunk, the Impala. And he hears someone behind him. He thinks it's Sam. When he turns around, it's Cal, the guy from the diner who is struggling with money. And he's pointing a gun at Dean and is robbing him for his money, essentially. Dean, like, tries to get him to relax and, like, clearly is going to hand over whatever money he's got, I think.
Yeah.
But as we cut back to Sam in the motel, we hear a gunshot. Obviously, Sam runs out and is like, Dean!
Hey, come on. Not today. Not today. This isn't supposed to happen today. Come on. I'm supposed to wake up.
And Dean's dead on a Wednesday.
It was at this point I was like, wait a minute, what? I don't remember this. What is this? I mean, maybe Cal didn't see, but, like, there were a lot of guns in the back of that car.
Yeah.
Like, would you have not seen something like that and been like, maybe I shouldn't approach this man? The man with all the guns.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all very... Again, how much is the trickster influencing this?
We see it's now 6 months later. Sam is driving the Impala quite recklessly in the rain. He's got like his face is very blank, very cold. And we hear his phone ringing. We hear a voicemail of Sam just saying, leave a message, and Bobby starts speaking. And as Bobby's speaking, there's like flashes of the hunt that Sam has been on. And essentially he's just been very, very efficient with his hunting.
Yeah.
Been about 3 months we talked, though. be nice to hear your voice. Give a call. I'm here.
We get to a motel and we see Sam's trunk, and he's become John Winchester.
Yeah.
It's foam like padding with the guns perfectly like lined up, and everything's in its place and everything's got a place. Honestly, I don't know how he does this next part. We see that he's been injured. Cuts his shirt open. I was offended by the male nipple. And he removes the bullet from his like torso. Do you think in all this time that he was hunting, he's killed Ruby? I do. She's no longer useful.
Yes, I do. That's a good one. I like that a lot. I think so, yeah. I think he would have killed Ruby. I think you're completely right. I think he would have gone to her and asked if he could get Dean back, and she would have said no, and he would have killed her. Ooh, I wanted this. This could have been a whole season. This whole section could have been a whole season.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would have been something. Really something.
I mean, it just shows who Sam is without Dean, and without Dean, apparently Sam is John Winchester.
Yeah. And we've always said this. Dean has never been John Winchester. No. It's always been Sam. Sam has always been John.
Yeah. And it comes through because he's obsessed. He's tracking the trickster. That seems to be like the one thing on his mind. And he's doing other hunts as he kind of goes through it, killing vampires and all sorts of things. But ultimately, Bobby says, I know you're still on the trail of this trickster, etc. Like, trying to find it. And he's all like maps and things in his room whenever he looks like he's looking and acting like John.
Yeah. And like, I'm fairly certain, I know we never get to see the conversations between Bobby and John, but I'm fairly certain these are word for word conversations that Bobby had with John, saying like, you can't obsess over this alone. Like you need people around you to help you. And John never had that. Like John didn't do that.
There's one shot on this that's really sad. It's actually, I wrote it down as dramatic eating, and then I watched it again. So there's a shot of Sam eating like chicken at a table. But if you actually pause the shot, he set the table for 2 people.
Oh,
I know.
Oh my God.
So that's the kind of mindset that Sam's in. Like, he's waiting for his brother to get home. Yeah, he's completely off the rails, fully. What is it Bella called? Hunters? Obsessed? Repressed?
Yeah.
Full of vengeance?
Revenge-driven. Sociopath or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, he's exactly that. Yeah. I do wonder. I know we don't really get a close-up look at the cult. And again, this would have been a really interesting sort of second half to the season if we could have had it. He probably went after Bella and killed her too to get the cult back. Yeah. Fully like... just ruthless Sam. This is very soulless Sam. This really reminded me of that. The way he kind of lives, it's very like neat and meticulous. Like we see him making his bed and things, and the way he keeps his guns and stuff. Although, and isn't that saying something about John Winchester? Where you're like, oh, his closest comparison is soulless Sam. Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, we get a call from Bobby, and he says that he's found the trickster and to meet him. And we go back to Mystery Spot, and Bobby's there. Now, this is the moment I was talking about I'm giving stuff away, about the trickster them maybe knowing who they were going to turn him into Gabriel, or at least an angel, because Bobby's wearing a Harley Davidson hat which has like angel wings on either side of the logo. And I'm clutching at straws, but I want to believe they were that good. Okay, fine. You letting me have it? I'm not going to argue with that because it's yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's too hard. It was not just a coincidence. It was. I think it was planned. Look how this scene goes. I know it's in character for Bobby to be wearing a Harley Davidson hat, but still, there are wings on the hat. Okay, yes. Yes, it's foreshadowing. Very, very subtle foreshadowing.
Look, I take my wins where I can get them.
Okay. And I will give them to you. No argument from me.
So Bobby's there. He hugs Sam, which is like, and Sam is just like non-responsive. He's cold.
Like,
Hunter Sam.
I was like, I think I even wrote them. You didn't give him a Winchester hug.
Oh, sad time.
They don't exist in this timeline.
Oh, they don't. That's true. No more Winchester hugs in this universe. And Sam asked what they're doing, and Bobby said it's because the trickster was here last, so this is where we'll find him. And I have a summoning ritual, but it requires a gallon of human blood. So somebody has to die in order to get this ritual going. Otherwise, they have to wait another 50 years. It seems a very weird constraints to put on this.
Yeah.
But okay. I mean, obviously, it's trying to see how far Sam will go in order to get Dean back. You know, because Sam's very much for it. He's like, let's go.
Yep.
Bobby doesn't go with him.
Break my heart, kid. What? I'm not gonna let you murder an innocent man.
Then why'd you bring me here?
Why? Because it was the only way you'd see me. Because I'm trying to knock some sense into you. Because I thought you'd back down from killing a man.
Well, you thought wrong.
Oh, Bobby. Bobby, not Bobby.
Yeah, no. You don't realize the obsession that is in this Winchester family. They will do anything for each other at this point.
This is where I do think they differ. I don't think... I want to say, I don't know if Dean would kill an innocent person to bring Sam back.
I think you're right.
I don't know, though. Someone proved me wrong with, like, some of the actions that Dean took. He's definitely endangered people in order to bring Sam back. I don't know if he... Like, could you imagine... Oh. Can you imagine if, like... Oh, no, because he would... Okay, I'm going to say it. If, like, they had to kill Cass to bring Sam back...
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would happen. I want to say that Dean wouldn't do it, but actually I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it would be this situation where Bobby's like, well, you're not going to kill someone else, kill me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Bobby basically says, I'm not going to let you kill somebody. He says, you're the closest thing I have to family. Sniff, cry.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm coming near the end of my trail, but you can keep fighting, saving folk. But you need your brother. Let me give him back to you.
Oh,
I know, right? Bobby kind of kneels, and Sam kind of waits and waits and waits, but eventually pulls a stake out of his shirt and says, like, I'm going to do it, but because you're the trickster, and, like, stakes him through the back. Very cool. And there's this moment where he goes down and then it's just Bobby. It's just Bobby.
And Sam's really not sure at that point. He's like,
Bobby.
Bobby. Bobby. Bobby. It is very like, oh, did he make a mistake?
Did he make a mistake? Did his final, like, obsession, vengeance get too far? He did actually just murder Bobby? But yeah, eventually Bobby disappears. And the trickster appears and says, like, haha, you figured it out. You solved my riddle.
Whoever said Dean was the dysfunctional one has never seen you with a sharp object in your hands. Holy Full Metal Jacket.
You should have added a Batman onto that. Holy Full Metal Jacket, Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
Sam obviously wants Dean back.
Yeah.
And Trickster's like, nah, he's very much dead. So Sam's like, well, take me back then to that time and I can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And that they won't come after him, essentially.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
He first says, take me back to that Tuesday, and then corrects himself to Wednesday.
Yeah.
Why do you think there was a separation between the two? Like, it wouldn't have mattered which day it was because at that point, they're just going to leave.
Yeah.
So why not go back to that Tuesday?
I guess it's so ingrained in Sam that Tuesday was the day that Dean died that one Wednesday is, like, mixed in with it. So quite a lot. It's just, I think it's just a slip of the tongue kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he doesn't want to live through another Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what it was. Because he managed to get over the Tuesday, he wants to go to that Wednesday.
Mm.
And he also knows what's going to happen on that Wednesday now.
Yeah, exactly, so he can stop it.
Yeah.
Interesting point here. Is the is the trickster wearing Sam's clothes? He's wearing his hippie shirt and jacket, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. It does look like it. I did notice that too. I was like, oh, maybe they're just shopping at the same place.
Yeah, he got infected by the Winchester style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole cast ends up doing that.
That's very true, actually. Completely, 100%. The trickster says, like, even if I could take you back to that time, like, I don't know. And it kind of says, like, look, there's something I'm trying to teach you a lesson here, Sam.
This obsession to save Dean, the way you two keep sacrificing yourselves for each other, nothing good comes out of it. Just blood and pain. Dean's your weakness. The bad guys know it too. It's gonna be the death of you, Sam.
Sam's like, yeah, but he's my brother, and the trickster says, and this is what it's going to be like without him at the end of the year, where he goes to hell. This is why I think Gabriel actually likes Sam more than Dean. He totally does, right? Because he's actually is trying to look out for him in this way. He's like, I'm trying to prepare you for bad things going to happen.
Well, and also, I think he realizes that while Sam is very hard-headed, he can be persuaded, whereas Dean will never not sacrifice himself.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, he could go through this over and over again, and because we've also seen that Sam is more sympathetic to supernatural creatures as well. So he's probably more willing to listen to what he's just said than Dean ever would be.
I think so. Like, he's ready to listen to the final lesson. I don't think it gets absorbed, though.
No.
I think that's why it decides that he's going to actually send him back in the end, because I think he realizes that the lesson is never actually going to go in, and that this is just going to keep repeating. Like, when Dean does die and gets dragged to hell, I think it's going to be exactly this situation with Sam, that he's going to be looking for a way to get him back, and not really anything he can say is going to change that.
Well, and the thing is, Sam is not... That's the thing with the Winchesters. They are so one solution focused. So for John, it was getting the yellow-eyed demon, and in this case it was getting the trickster, and that's the only way to bring Dean back. Like, the thought of like doing another deal or trying to get into hell, any of those other solutions never came to his mind. His thought process was, I will get the trickster, make us go back in time, and we'll start again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it wasn't real.
I think Gabriel trying to like harden him against Dean's death does play into Heaven's plan, because ultimately Dean dying is kind of what leads Sam down like a darker path and makes him more susceptible to like manipulation and all this kind of stuff that happens to him. And he's completely right. Dean is his weakness, and that's why he can get led down this path. And in some way, he was trying to stop that from happening because of who Sam is and where that's going to lead, and the whole apocalypse thing. So this completely makes sense. This episode makes total sense if the trickster is Gabriel, because it definitely plays into his agenda of not kind of originally, I think, not wanting the apocalypse to happen. That does change for Gabriel over time. But I think here he's trying to prevent it. I do. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we also know like later on that Gabriel is afraid of Lucifer. Yeah. If he can avoid Lucifer coming back, he will do anything he can.
Exactly. And this is all part of this. I mean, yeah, if Sam can be a normally adjusted human when Dean dies, then kind of none of that might happen. But obviously he's kind of realized here that he can't stop it, I think. So, I mean, yes, he does send him back, and he snaps his fingers, and the radio goes off, and it's back in time. So it's Wednesday. Again, Dean's where he was in that original Wednesday. Sam gets up and like, Winchester hug! Dean asks again, now how many Tuesdays did you have? Because all he remembers is that one Tuesday where they like confronted the trickster. Sam just like, let's go, let's leave this place. No breakfast. Dean offers to go pack up the car, and like Sam's like, no, no. And Dean just kind of accepts it. The ending shot of this, like Sam is all through this scene, is very tearful and like extremely emotional. Dean kind of stops in the doorway and says to him like, you don't look so good, did something else happen? And Sam just doesn't tell him anything and says that he had a really weird dream. And, you know, they leave, Sam looks back at the bed, you know, the bed that he's like had to wake up in like hundreds of times or however long, and then leaves the motel room. So my question is, do you think that Sam ever told Dean about this?
No, I think he wanted to forget it.
I think so too.
Though, I mean, it would be kind of useful. Like, so he essentially has the answers for a whole bunch of hunts in his mind.
That's true, actually. It's all 6 months, yes.
Like, he could have taken Dean to all these places and been like, hey, let's go. But maybe, again, it was all trickster influenced, so none of it was actually real.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think it was real? Do you think any of it was?
I don't know. The trickster has such influence. Like, you think about changing channels that's coming up, like how much reality like he can bend. Was any of it actually real? Or was like Sam in some kind of pocket dimension?
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to tell, but I don't think he would have even gone out of those hunts anyway because of the whole memory thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
definitely.
really tough. Yeah. Because there would have been callbacks to that otherwise, I think. You know, like, oh, I was here. I know exactly what's going to happen.
No, I think he just wanted to move on from it and just be like, no. Or if anything, he's more determined to save Dean. I think it had the opposite effect.
Yes, I agree. I think he's more determined to find a way out for him now. I think at the end of Dream a Little Dream of Me, he was already quite determined because Dean was on board now. And this just added to that. I think you're right about the order of this. It is very weird to have Mystery Spot in after that one, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, this is not the first and definitely not the last time that something like the order of the episodes doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, that's true. There definitely have been other times this has happened, for sure.
So, okay, so I was just looking at the next episode that we're going to talk about, Justin Bello, and is the chick from Lucifer, she's in it.
Yes, Amy Garcia. I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. Yes, I'm looking forward to that one a lot. I mean, this episode overall, it's a really great Sam episode, really great character development for him. And I think, as we said at the beginning, this character development follows through, I think, at least until like season 7. I think season 8, it starts to get a little bit weird for Sam again. They start to mess with his characterization a little bit more.
Yeah. Sam is starting to become such a serious character that maybe like there's only so much you can go before like people start to kind of dislike him, which I don't think is the case. I think this Sam is needed.
Yes.
Him trying to like loosen up a little bit didn't feel right.
I mean, because Gabriel was completely right. People always say like, Dean's the really dysfunctional one. He'll do anything to keep his brother alive. And like, he's the one who's obsessed with hunting and all this kind of stuff. It's not actually true.
No.
First of all, it's both of them. And second of all, Sam is actually, there's a deeper well there of obsessed John Winchester undercurrent. It's definitely deeper ingrained in Sam and much more difficult for him to get rid of.
Which I think is kind of interesting because he must have recognized that in himself. Yeah. And that's why he wanted to get away so vehemently as it like to go to college and stuff. Yeah. Because he was seeing that he was turning into John Winchester and just didn't like it.
I completely agree with you. Like, he could see his whole life mapped in front of him, who has stayed as a hunter, and it's like, I'm going to end up like John. I don't really like Sam's storyline in season 8, but I guess I can appreciate it from this point of like, that was him getting out of that cycle of turning back into John, essentially, whenever something bad happened to him or he lost Dean. That's kind of why it wasn't needed again at the end of Supernatural, because we already saw that he could break that cycle when he went to go see Amelia with her dog and eating plain spaghetti and whatever that was. Like, you know, we already know that Sam can break that cycle. He got better adjusted as the seasons went on, whereas Dean didn't.
Right. Yeah. Sam really embraced a different type of hunting style of being like a commander of a group of people.
Yeah.
Whereas Dean still saw hunting as a solo act.
Yeah, he did. And that's what I mean, like this so I can see character progression in Sam through the whole series. Like you can see how it got there and where it kind of led. And I think Dean had that up to a point, and I feel like it got stalled at some point. And I'm not really sure where it was. But he never kind of crossed that final hurdle into being able to let hunting go kind of thing. Which, I mean, yeah, is fine, I guess, for a character. But when you've known a character for so long, it's nice to see them kind of cross that final therapeutic hurdle. I mean, ultimately, this episode is Sam. And I think when we look at his choices moving forward, because he definitely makes some choices, I think this is the episode to point to as to like why he makes those choices. Because this was such a traumatic experience for him. This was maybe something that took almost a year for him to get through. Like the actual age gap between him and Dean has closed in this episode. Like, not, it's weird because it's like, temporally, not actually. But yeah, he's lived nearly a whole year of having to lose Dean over and over again, and then going through those 6 months where he didn't have him at all, and having to deal with the person he was when that happened is a wild thing for him to have to go through. So I'll be interested when Sam does. Maybe I'll be a bit more sympathetic this time when Sam makes some choices. As to why he does them, because I do think it's fear of losing Dean. Yeah.
There was a solution this time that he knew he could go to the trickster and it could be fixed. Yeah. Whereas after this, he knows it's no longer the case.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good episode, Annabelle. I love it so much.
It is. It is a very, very good episode. Beyond the fact of being a funny quotation marks, funny episode. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that was a biggie. That was a big one.
So, as you said, next week we've got Justin Bello. Really looking forward to that one.
So, thank you to the Pixel Agora for making our logo art. You can find it on Redbubble if you would like to get a sticker or a magnet or what have you. Every purchase, a percentage of the profits go to the artist. You can also find us on all of the social medias. We're most active on Tumblr and Instagram, but we're on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just look for Escaping Purgatory podcast and you'll see it. We're also on YouTube as well. So yeah, come say hi.
So this week in Purgatory, we died. And then we woke up and then it was all fine. And then we died again. And then for some reason, like, the band Asia was there. It was super weird, guys. But next week, hopefully, we can find our way out. Bye.
Bye.
You mean like Deja Vu?
No, I mean like it's really happened before.
Yeah, like Deja Vu.
No, forget about Deja Vu. I'm asking you if it feels like we're living yesterday all over again.
Okay, how was that not Deja?
Don't say it.